Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the grueling physical demands that Formula One puts on drivers and take a look at Fernando Alonso's routine, which helped him rise to the top of the game. His time with McLaren was a pivotal moment in his career, where he really stepped up his training and took his driving to the next level. So, how did he train? That's what we're going to uncover in this video, so let's jump right in. A normal training day for Fernando Alonso. McLaren is a team that's always pushing the boundaries, whether it's in their car design or their driver training. And let's be real, that's what we want to see in Formula One. We want to see innovation, risk-taking, and a fierce competitive spirit. And speaking of competitiveness, Fernando Alonso is a prime example. So what's a typical day like for Alonso? His training starts with the pre-habilitation session. During this time, he will do exercises to improve his mobility and flexibility, as well as a warm-up protocol. You know what they say, you've got to loosen up those joints and get those muscles firing before you hit the gas. Next up is the endurance training session. Alonso will hop on the skill bike, a cutting-edge training tool that simulates cycling on a track, and get to work. The session will involve specific cadence, intensity buildup, and high-intensity intervals that mimic sector corners and multiple lap combinations. Then he'll move on to the strength training session. After that, he'll go on to the F1 trainer and steering drills, which are crucial in developing the upper body strength and endurance necessary for driving a Formula One car. The physical toll of Formula One driving. Now, it's not like these drivers can just throw on some old clothes and call it a day. These guys need to be fully equipped with protective gear that can handle the heat. We're talking helmets and fire-resistant suits that can withstand temperatures up to 800 degrees Celsius. And don't forget about the gloves and shoes that give them the grip and control they need to handle those tight turns. But that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the physical demands of Formula One driving. They have to deal with conditions that would make you pass out. Think of it like sitting in a sauna for 2 hours straight while running a marathon. The temperatures inside the cockpit can soar up to a blistering 50 degrees Celsius, with humidity levels that'll make you feel like you're swimming in a vat of sweat. And guess what? That's not even the worst part. Drivers can lose up to 3 kilograms of body mass in just one race due to sweat and dehydration. That's like saying goodbye to your entire lunch. So how do they keep up with such grueling conditions? It's not just about having a six-pack and bulging biceps. It's about having the endurance to last an entire race. Low body fat levels and regular endurance training are the essentials. Fernando Alonso was aware of that. And he wasn't just a talented driver, he was a well-oiled machine. Cycling, swimming, long-distance running, he did it all. He knew how important it was to keep his body in good shape by doing a variety of activities that tested his endurance. And we also have to take into account the core strength and flexibility, two key elements that helped improve his overall performance. Endurance training. And when it comes to performance, endurance training is the ultimate test of grit and determination. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's only for those who are willing to push themselves to the brink of exhaustion to achieve greatness. And Fernando Alonso, the two-time Formula One world champion, knows this better than anyone. To get ready for the tough physical demands of Formula One racing, Alonso did a morning endurance training routine that most athletes would be embarrassed by. From cycling to running to rowing to swimming to cross-country skiing, he tackled it all with a fierce determination that's truly inspiring. But what makes endurance training so essential for drivers? Well, let's break it down. It's not just about being physically fit. It's also about having the mental stamina to stay focused and alert during the entire race. And when you're driving at speeds of over 200 miles per hour for 2 hours straight, that's no small feat. Heart rate monitors are an important part of training for endurance, especially when trying to simulate the conditions and length of a race. By keeping an eye on their heart rate and adjusting the intensity of their workouts accordingly, drivers can simulate the physical stress of racing and build the endurance they need to do well on the track. Rowing is a particularly effective training method for F1 racers. Not only does it provide a full-body workout, but it also mimics the motion of driving a car, making it an ideal tool for drivers. And when it comes to rowing machines, there's no better option than Technogym's Skill Row. This state-of-the-art machine combines the benefits of cardio and strength training, allowing drivers like Alonso to improve their stamina, power, and agility all at once. And with its realistic rowing simulation, it's the closest thing you can get to driving a car without actually being on the track. But endurance training isn't just about the physical benefits. It's also about developing mental toughness. By pushing themselves to their limits in training, drivers like Alonso build the mental fortitude they need to handle the pressure of racing. And when it comes to mental toughness, Alonso is a true master. He's faced his fair share of setbacks and challenges throughout his career, but he's never let them break him. Instead, he's used them as fuel to become even stronger and more resilient. Strength training. And make no mistake, this guy was a machine, focused on developing and maintaining his upper body strength and endurance to handle the demands of the F1 cockpit. You know he wasn't going to let anything get in his way, not even the pressure of an F1 race. So what did Alonso do to achieve this fine balance of strength and endurance? He had some seriously sick tools in his arsenal, one of which was the Technogym F1 trainer. This thing replicated the driving position and helped develop the shoulder and neck complex necessary for controlling the car during a race. It's like a simulator, but for the muscles. This thing is insane, and it gave Alonso the edge he needed to dominate the competition. But the F1 trainer wasn't the only tool in his toolbox. He also fit up various free weights, body weights, and cable exercises to build his upper body strength and endurance. The dude was all about that grind, doing seated rows, shoulder shrugs, lateral raises, pull-ups, push-ups, and wellness ball stability exercises like it was no big deal. Now, keeping track of all those exercises isn't easy, but he was on top of his game, putting in the work to get the job done. Now, when you think about controlling a McLaren that's traveling at speeds over 300 kilometers per hour, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? That's right, the shoulders. Alonso knew this all too well, which is why he put a ton of effort into working and developing in that area. But what about those legs? You know you need some serious leg strength to handle the G-forces and power braking that come with racing. He didn't mess around when it came to his legs. He did one-sided movements on the Technogym leg press and general leg strengthening exercises with free weights to target the power braking muscle. That's some next-level stuff right there. And not to mention the core. A strong core is necessary for any athlete, particularly for F1 drivers. It helps with stability and control, which are crucial when you're racing at breakneck speeds. Alonso was doing different exercises, like planks and medicine ball twists, to improve his overall performance and strengthen his core. Now you might be thinking, how did he know what exercises to do and how to do them? Well, it's all about having a solid plan and working with experts in the field. Alonso worked with his trainer to develop a program that was tailored to his specific needs and goals. He also worked with Technogym's experts to make sure he was using their equipment correctly and getting the most out of his workouts. McLaren's training regime for their team is no joke. It takes dedication, hard work, and a whole lot of sweat and tears to prepare a driver for the intense demands of Formula One racing. But when you see Alonso and his fellow drivers tearing up the track, you know it's all worth it. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing quite like the thrill of pushing yourself to the limit and coming out on top. And that is what Formula One is all about. If you want to see more behind-the-scenes action and learn about the secrets of Formula One, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to hear from you too. Leave us a comment with your thoughts on McLaren's training regime or any questions you may have.